What's going on, folks? We're here to talk about that debacle of a game that happened last Friday. Otherwise, it was a great Thanksgiving, but that was a crap show. A lot of things to talk about. Um, let me get your first thoughts on that game.
It's probably, in my opinion, probably the worst game I would have to say this year, based off of everything I've seen. So pretty much with the offense, it's like beating a dead horse at this point. We all know what it is. They're doing the same repetitive shit they've been doing. It only looks worse this time because teams are figuring out more and more, I feel like, and pretty much the defense was on the field for 39 minutes. I mean, they can, the Bears controlled the clock pretty much the majority of the game with the run game. They think they had like 280 yards. They had like over 100 yards between Swift and the Rook. So yeah, they tore us up on the ground, man. I mean, Swift had a hell of a game, but no shock there because we all know from when we had Swift that he was, he's a hell of a runner. So no shock there. And the Rooks, he's really good too. He's been pretty good this year. But
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just very disappointing to see no adjustments made just throughout the entirety of the game. It feels like it almost looks like on offense they just don't know what they're doing. And it's just like, I think also another thing I'm noticing is Jalen that has happened throughout the year. Jalen's still having issues reading a defense. And it's just a problem, man. It's something needs to be done at this point, and the fact that he's gonna move forward almost like I really hope they're making adjustments in house, but it's just I just feel like at this point nothing's being done. But yeah, as far as the game, you know, it was terrible.
Right. Right. I I, I echo many of your sentiments so far, man.
Hmm.
Um, but I will say this, and I've been I wouldn't say mum, but I've held my tongue on this subject matter for the majority of the season. And anybody that's watched this podcast has known that I've been hypercritical at points with the coaching staff in the past, including and especially in the 2023 season um, when they collapsed. So
Yeah.
the collapse against Tampa Bay. We were seeing many of the same issues with Brian Johnson when he was the offensive coordinator here.
Hmm.
Not experienced, seemed like he was in over his head with the play calling. And Kellen Moore came in the first 4 or 5 weeks. It looked like there was his issue was he was Mr. Pass happy too much.
Hmm.
And then he adjusted and realized, you know what, I can open up this playbook and run the ball and be a little more creative. And then his offense took off because Kellen Moore did a bang up job in Dallas and then eventually he turned it on in Philly. But then you're back to this year where you have a new offensive coordinator. This is Jalen Hurts has not had back-to-back years with the same offensive coordinator his entire career, going back to college. Like
Hmm.
these are the things that we need to talk about before we I'm just saying in general, before we go assigning blame, we need to really talk about the background information and the details as to why these guys may or may not be struggling or succeeding before we go ahead and just write people off. The same thing goes for Patullo, to be fair. That being said, you tell me what athlete, baseball, football, basketball, boxing, who can change head coaches or trainers every year, every fight, every every other um 6 to 12 months and be successful long term. Like seriously, like people watching this, you tell me if you had a different coach every year, if you played a sport, if you'd be successful, just off rip, let alone if you'd make it to the league. I don't think people have a true appreciation for that. And yet he's still performed up to a high level. You look at Jalen Hurts this year. He hasn't been perfect, not at all. But last time I checked, He has 2,500 passing yards. This is what week week 13 now, 14 we're going on.
Yeah, we're going on 14, I believe.
In 13 weeks, he has 2,500 passing yards in a shit ass offense and a passer rating of 103.9, 19 touchdowns through the air and two interceptions with 27 sacks. I don't really see where Jalen Hurts is the problem outside of saying, is he reading the field properly? That is a fair criticism. However, is
Hmm.
it because he still can't read the field properly, or is it because the offensive coordinator is scheming things so that they don't even attack the middle of the field? So we don't even know.
Hmm.
Right? These are the details, right?
Right.
If they don't call routes over the middle of the field, how the fuck do you know if you can still read the middle of the field or not yet?
Right.
Same thing with a boxer. If I tell you to throw all jabs and you throw no uppercuts or hooks, how do I know that you're not throwing a hook in the middle of round three because you can't throw a hook versus you were not taught that or I told you not to focus on that?
Right.
The people never ask the why or the how. They just look at the what happens.
Hmm.
They don't put enough emphasis on the why because they don't really care. Because that,
Hmm.
in my opinion, that involves thinking more critically as
Hmm.
opposed to being lazy and taking the surface level take and running with it.
Hmm.
So people would look at us, conversely, talking about Kevin Patullo and say, why are people in Philly hating on him? Why isn't Jalen Hurts just making the throws to AJ Brown? Why is AJ Brown not getting separation? Why is Saquon not getting any yards, uh, any big plays? Why is he barely getting any yards before first contact's made? They just look at
Hmm.
the stats, but they don't look at the why. Hell, they don't
Yeah.
even look at the why the offensive line is not playing well. They just say the offensive line needs to play better.
Hmm.
Use y'all fucking eyes. Lane Johnson injured, nicked up damn near since week 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Landon Dickerson never fully had enough time to heal up from the knee and he's gutting it out. It's obvious why he's struggling. Cam Jurgens still having the back injuries lingering. And for those who don't know, the back is attached to every fucking thing else in your body. That's
Hmm.
why he's struggling.
Yeah.
Mailata, up and down, but still playing very well. Whether you're looking at PFF or whether you're looking at the tape, has he played as well as he was last year? No, obvious. But in general, Jalen Hurts is getting a lot of time back there to throw the ball. If for those that are looking at the play-by-play, you can see him dropping back and then looking around before he gets sacked or has to roll out and throw the ball away. Because this offensive line, on top of being injured, you have predictable play calling. So it's already difficult enough to win in the NFL if people are healthy and you have bad play calling. But if you
Hmm.
have a team that is unhealthy and or playing up and down, then you can't afford to have bad play calling. The way I
Yeah.
see it is there are things that Jalen Hurts can do better. He can anticipate the passing windows better. I'm not denying that, but
Hmm.
we just seen the guy be a Super Bowl MVP last year, and even during 2023 or 2021, he was carrying the team with Greg Ward and a bunch of other guys that we don't even remember the names now. And he took them to the
Yeah.
playoffs. He knows how
Right.
to play football and he can throw the football. But when
Hmm.
you don't have time, because not only the offensive line is injured, but because more so you were not even calling route concepts in tandem with each other that even make sense
Hmm.
to Smitty or AJ, what is the quarterback supposed to do? Let's put
Right.
Tanner McKee back there. What is Tanner McKee going to do outside of the gunslinging and awesome throws he made during preseason when it's a vanilla defense and they're not sending any blitzes or any exotic looks at you? You're
Hmm.
going to send him in there and think he's going to look like the Tanner McKee from week 2 of the preseason. And you're going to go in there and get cooked behind this line with this play calling.
You know
Detail.
what?
If you don't have the proper infrastructure around you, I don't care if you put Tom Brady or Peyton Manning back there, they're going to get their fucking head knocked off.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning can throw over the middle, right? But let's just say hypothetically, you tell him put one arm behind your back and you only throw to the outsides of the hash marks because that's where I'm calling the fucking routes because I said so. What is the quarterback supposed to do? After a certain point, all the cornerbacks know you're not throwing anything inside the hash marks. The linebackers, they know they don't have to play if they're playing zones, they don't have to play tight in their zones over the middle. You're not even calling plays to attack the middle.
Hmm.
And the run game is struggling because the pass game is predictable.
Hmm.
If even if I'm not stacking the box with eight guys all the time, I can have my ears pinned back to attack the O lineman if I see a formation that you like to run out of and you like running two or three plays out of this formation. I can take a certain angle on the lineman now because I'm like I know the play's going, so I'm gonna blow you up before you even get a chance to block me with leverage or even get to the spot. If you're pulling, I'm gonna blow all that shit up. Like why? Like people like they conveniently gloss over these things.
Right.
Same thing with a. I like bringing up boxing because it's a very easy analogy for me, and I just think it's a good analogy. If I know that all you do is throw the left hook,
Hmm.
guess what I'm looking for? Your left
The
hook,
left foot.
and I'm going to
Yeah.
take that away. And then what's going to happen when you have no answer? I'm going to dog walk you
Hmm.
because you don't know how to do anything else, or more importantly, you weren't taught how to do anything else, or you aren't allowed to do anything else.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, that would never happen in a boxing match. I wouldn't just tell somebody, no coach would tell somebody to go out and just throw left hooks and nothing else. But that's how ridiculous this situation is.
Yeah.
It's the
100%.
equivalent of telling somebody to go out and throw a left hook and
Mhm.
you don't even use the rest of your toolbox. Eventually, you're going to get caught like Ryan Garcia did against Tank Davis because you didn't throw one, two, three hooks, left hooks in a row. You threw four in a row. And even though he
Mhm.
was hurt by the fourth one, I know what's coming, even though my head's foggy, possibly. Right?
Yeah.
Even somebody with a fault who's trying to get their bearings together or trying to regroup, they can see what you're doing if you do something four, five, six times in a row. Same thing with football. If you want to run a hook route, 10-yard hook route on 3rd and 2, or you want to do um, a halfback draw on 3rd and 14, by the 10th time you do that, it becomes painfully obvious. Oh no, these guys are just going to keep doing that. They really are that dumb. I think that I think as a defense, a lot of times you'll sit back and say, "There's no way they are this out of their minds to keep doing the same thing over and over again and doing something that limits them schematically." Oh, they are? Oh, great. We don't even have to be good on defense. And if we are good on defense, you can forget it.
Hmm.
So to bring this full circle, I don't condone what happened to Kevin Patullo's house, and that's where we're going to segue over to. But
Hmm.
although I don't condone it, it gives him perspective on how serious the situation is.
Yeah.
It's enough, enough, enough. Nick Sirianni is going to put his job in jeopardy being loyal to Kevin Patullo to a fault
Yeah.
because it's painfully obvious he does not know what he's doing, and that doesn't mean I'll extend an olive branch here. That doesn't mean that he can't be a good offensive coordinator in the future, but right now he's too green. The same way Sean McDermott was too green when they threw him to the Wolves after Jim
Hmm.
Johnson passed. He was not
Hmm.
ready. He was ready later when he went to the Bills, but to
Yeah.
be a first year coordinator after just being an assistant, that is a big task. And
That
some
is.
guys pan out, some don't. But when you see it's clear they're not going to pan out, at least in the right now, you have to address it. You can't go on into the press conference saying we're going to evaluate.
Hmm.
It's time. It's been time. 2 weeks ago, it's
Yeah.
turkey's done. It's
Yeah.
still in the oven. It's going to burn up at this point. It's time.
Yeah. It's yeah, at this point I just like I said, like you said, Stan, for it to go with this long and for nothing to be done, I mean it's painfully obvious he's just arrogant at this point. And he's letting his friendship affect the fact that he won't get rid of him. That's what I think it has something to do with too. It's his friendship with him. That's his buddy. He's always gonna, he's always gonna stick up for him, whatever. But you have to be realistic with yourself and hold your guy accountable because this offense ain't gonna get any better if you don't.
Right. Right.
You know, we're
Yeah.
8-4. I mean, we're in a good spot. Like, I mean, do something now while we can.
Exactly. And this is why it's so frustrating and why I was listening to it might have been 97.5 or WIP, I don't remember which one. But
Hmm.
somebody brought up the name Kotite. They brought up that name. It's like
Hmm.
bringing up Lord Voldemort in Harry
Right.
Potter. It's the name that shall not be spoken, right?
Yeah.
People hated Rich Kotite. I was too young to really appreciate how much of a fumble it was having him as coach and just absolutely letting that Buddy Ryan Super Bowl caliber team go to crap. That's what the older people have flashbacks to. At least some of them, I would imagine. And what's frustrating is, like I said before, we knew Rich Kotite was inept. And
Yeah.
he went to the Jets and they felt the same pain. They were dumb enough to hire him, so they went through the same thing.
Right.
But Sirianni, regardless of what people want to say about him, including me, the dude know how to win. He knows how to
Yeah.
win. However, to your point, he is loyal to a fault to his guys.
Hmm.
And as a friend, you're doing if that's a close friend of his, you're doing your friend more of a disservice by not holding him accountable. Because the if you don't hold him accountable, the people will with tiki torches and pitchforks. And I know I threw that out in jest last week, but we saw like a less severe version of that
Hmm.
with the house incident. But with Kevin Patullo, um, you know what? We might as well bring AJ into this. I think AJ's a diva. I'm not. I said that before. I'm not discounting that. I would not handle it the way he is. I
Yeah.
understand that.
100%.
However, when something is this bad, you can only get so mad at the messenger.
Hmm.
I don't like the way he's delivering his message, but his look at the damn message. Stop looking at whether the messenger's smiling or being no. If the message is the message, focus on that. Getting mad at AJ is not going to change the fact that this team desperately needs to change the offensive coordinator because
Yeah.
people, from my perspective, when I know I'm good at something, allow me to exercise my abilities to the fullest. And then
Hmm.
if things are still going bad, trust me, I'm not laughing and smiling because things are going bad. I may be smiling. I wouldn't do it, but I may be smiling because, oh, now you guys see what I'm talking about. Do you understand?
Hmm.
Right? I'm talking about not getting the ball. It's not just because I want the ball more. It's because when you throw me the ball, I Megatron people like I did in this game against Chicago. See what he did to those dudes? Just throw the fucking ball to him.
Yeah.
Right? But at a certain point, even that, if I know that he's just doing all go routes, even AJ Brown gonna struggle. They're gonna start doubling you, they're gonna chip you off the line. They're going to use their leverage to push you to the sideline because they know damn well you ain't running no in route. It's either slant or go.
Hmm.
It makes it easier for me as a defensive back to play a certain leverage because I can predict exactly what you're gonna do. You,
Yeah.
you should be able to cook me with a lot of different options, but you won't because your coach is an idiot. So now it
Yeah.
makes my job
Exactly.
easier.
Yeah.
So AJ Brown, it's like they didn't lose because of AJ Brown. If anything, if they were doing the other things right, they would have won because of AJ Brown and Smitty and the plays that they made. But instead, they stalled out after putting up um 21 points against the Cowboys, and then they looked even worse against the Bears.
Hmm.
Now, what people don't realize going into that Bears game, because I was actually looking up PFF uh, before the game, I didn't have time to really do a full breakdown. But what I did see was their offensive line is really damn good. That's the reason why they're 8-3. It's a big reason. So I was not
Hmm.
surprised that the defensive interior of our defense was having issues with their power run game.
Hmm.
This defense, here's my thing. If the offensive play calling was where it would be, where it's supposed to be, then the mistakes you make, which are inevitable for any team, would not kill you the way they are now. People are
Hmm.
getting wrapped up in the fact that the defense got ran over. They're getting wrapped up in the fact that Saquon's not being able to get clean looks running out of the backfield. But what people are failing to look at, some people are failing to look at, is the fact that this is a chain event. Saquon can't run because they know you can't pass. And hence,
Mhm.
even when they're not stacking the box, they can they can already have their back foot planted to be able to be thinking about running forward to blow up the lineman because they're not worrying about a pass coming over the middle or something that's going to stress them as a defense. They're pinning their ears back. And on
Mhm.
top of that, you have predictable play calling, including situationally. So it makes it very
Mhm.
easy for the defense to be in attack mode.
Yeah.
And then so now, even if you were healthy, that makes it difficult on your offense, even if you're healthy.
Yeah.
Now, if you're not healthy and you have what I would say are ordinary inconsistencies that go through the season, then now those mistakes now they become killers because now
Mhm.
you have two hands tied behind your back and you're making mistakes. Now that you can't do.
Right.
So people are getting caught up in the mistakes, but it's like they don't look at the reason or rationale. So
Mhm.
so every week you can have a new person to be mad at if that's the case, right? That's
Right.
lazy investigational journalism. No,
Right.
you the root cause of the problem is the play calling. I don't maybe people disagree. I don't care what you think. It's clearly the play calling.
Yeah.
Until that changes, you can't really make a proper assessment about where the talent's at until you take that confounding factor out. It's such a confounding factor.
100%. Because until see if the play calling's good and you see like creative, like motion, pre-step motion, like people just going out and doing different route combinations, they're mixing it up good.
Yeah.
Until that happens, it's very, very hard to determine, oh, is Jalen Hurts as bad? Why is AJ Brown struggling? It's like until you see that, like you said, it's very hard to determine. And it's very, very frustrating when you're going into week 14 and you still have a head coach sitting there at the podium saying, we're not changing the play caller. Then, I mean, it's head scratching, man. It really is, and it's frustrating because we all know what this team is capable of. I really think this team is top five talented. It has top five talent. It really does. This team is top five, very talented, and I understand the offensive line is banged up, but still, if we had the right play caller, I guarantee there's a lot of deficiencies we can cover up just with a new play caller.
I even give you a stat, and again, with statistics, take it with a grain of salt. But
Yeah,
although the grades are like middle of the pack or low in terms of like the overall passing efficiency or receiving efficiency, running efficiency, the pass blocking is actually top five.
yeah,
That like to my point, he has the time. It's just like what is he seeing, right? Like when
yeah,
they had in 2023 when they were struggling or whatever year it was when they lost to Tampa in that playoff game, um, it was pretty clear to me that Jalen Hurts was having issues attacking the middle of the field. They were calling route concepts to attack the middle of the field, and he was struggling with that. That's different. That shows me, okay, this guy is struggling with this aspect of reading the field. But what I don't hear about is what happens when Pat Mahomes has similar struggles. We don't hear people talk about how Pat Mahomes can't read the defense, do we? No, we don't talk
yeah,
about that.
exactly.
We don't talk about
Hmm.
how Lamar Jackson just struggled. I think last week, he didn't do shit last week when I was looking at the stats, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Let's see who they. Um, Even if we're not talking about last week, it's been a running narrative about Lamar Jackson going completely absent when the playoff times come around. All of a sudden, he can't hit a receiver and he looks confused. But we don't hear these. But every time we talk about Lamar Jackson, it's like he's in a different stratosphere. Like Jalen Hurts shouldn't even be mentioned with him and Mahomes, even though he's outplayed both of them in head-to-head contests.
Hmm.
So the point is I think that we as in every city gets tunnel vision on their own players or player.
Hmm.
Whereas you could have somebody of the same skill level doing the exact same thing in another city, and they're still concerned about how are we going to attack them, how are we going to beat them. Why don't you have the same criticism about Pat Mahomes when he come in if he's struggling reading, let's say cover three, for example? if Jalen Hurts got if they both have problems reading cover three and they're about to play each other in the game, when I turn on WIP, I only hear about how Jalen Hurts is having a problem, let's say theoretically, reading cover three. We don't hear about how Pat Mahomes is having the exact same problem in the exact same year.
Hmm.
Why is that? But if you switch on a radio station in KC, they may be doing the opposite, talking about, oh, Pat Mahomes, he didn't do that this week, and how are we going to stop Jalen Hurts? Oh, he has this deficiency, but man, he's how are we going to stop them? Every city like thinks the world is falling. They always look at their specific issues. They don't look at where the other team's at.
Hmm.
And to the AJ Brown part, I think Seth Joyner has a fair point. Um, and I don't disagree with them. I just my anger is directed more at the offensive coordinator than it is at Jalen Hurts or the rest of the offense, and definitely not the defense.
Yeah, agreed.
I look at the Philly media and WIP. I said it before. They toxic, man. It's everybody needs a news story to talk about every day, but some of these guys, I'm tired of hearing them make something out of nothing. And
Hmm.
from my vantage point, it tends to be the ones that have not played a sport at a high level. I'm not saying that's a prerequisite. You can
Hmm.
know about football at a high level if you haven't played it. That's not a prerequisite. But the odds are,
Yeah.
if you haven't played it, then you're not really going to understand why what athletes see, what they feel as they're moving through the game, and their perspective, because you just never been there.
Right.
So you just have guys getting mad about topics that aren't even being talked about in the locker room, and then all of a sudden it's a narrative because some guy at WIP stated it, and
Hmm.
now the team has to address that.
Right.
So, I mean, I look at AJ Brown. If I'm other guys, I'm like, yo, like if you have issues, yo, keep it in house, man. Um,
Yeah.
and it's tough because a lot of those guys are feeling the same way about the coaching. You know they are. At least
Yeah.
that's where I see it. They're just not going to say anything about it. AJ is going to be that flamboyant personality that's going to covertly speak his mind and
Yeah, exactly.
allude to what is going on behind closed doors. And that does nothing to help you as things are falling apart at the seams. I think that's where the frustration comes with a Seth Joyner. And I understand that. I mean, at this point, you said what you needed to say. Now it's like, what are you doing that's productive in terms of like talking about these things in the media? When you're out there, you better not drop a pass. I'll tell you that
Yeah.
much. I don't want to see no drops now. I saw it.
Yep.
I want to see no drops now. Everything better be perfect and pristine. That's the other
Yeah.
part that comes along with it. If you
It
running your
does.
mouth, everything you do better be perfect and pristine so that when we point fingers, it's not going to be at you.
On it. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's my thoughts on it. It's really not a whole lot to say beyond the fact that Patullo got to go. I don't have anything personally against him, but I'll extend him for olive branch. Sirianni, he don't even have to fire him. Bring in a consultant, just like you did when Sean Desai was struggling on defense a few years ago. Bring in a consultant. And
I
and
mean,
it's not and the fact that Matt Patricia didn't pan out means diddly squat. Who the
yeah.
fuck cares? Just because that didn't work out doesn't mean that the next consultant won't. Vic Fangio
Yeah.
was a consultant. Looks like that worked out pretty well when we actually brought him in, right? So like
Yeah.
people like they get too wrapped up in, oh, this didn't work last time, so we could never do it again. No, every situation is specific to that moment. So I mean, if there's not a change, they're obviously not going back to the Super Bowl. Hell, let me get my gym on. Playoffs. You can forget about that too. I mean, you'll
Yeah.
go, but we ain't going far. It'll be just like when we got bounced up by Tampa.
Yeah, it's gonna be one and done, man. You know, you have to make, like I said, you're in a good spot right now. It's better for this to happen during the regular season than the playoffs. But that's up to them to figure that out. You know, you got to stop being so bullheaded and thinking you're going to get different results, but yet you're doing the same thing. You, I don't know how you don't realize it's not working by now. Like it's just it's mind-boggling to me. You know, it's if they change it, great, but if they don't, one and done.
So my last question before we end this off is: out of the many people that they can consider bringing in. What do you think about the rumors about Doug Pederson saying that he was open to being a consultant?
I mean, I like it. I also heard Frank Reich's available too now. He
Really?
just uh he just became available. So I think that's another really good option to look at because you look how successful the offense was when he came in. So he'd be a good consultant as well. So either one of those two, I like it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm right there with you. I think we're at a point where Jeffrey Lurie, he was in the press box and he looked down in the stadium and he saw people walking out in the fourth quarter. And then he saw KP's house get egged. Um, there's a lot of owners that don't really care about what their team is doing, but he's one of them. I know that had to hurt him because
Oh, sure.
last time we had a situation where we saw Eagles fans walking out before the game was over that I can recall. It was during the Chip Kelly era, and he did not last long after that.
Yeah.
So you're not just losing the team, you're losing the fans. And once you lose the fans, um, I don't know how Eagles fans going to react, but beyond what happened, but um, it's hard for me to think about fans becoming disillusioned like they have with the Sixers, but I think that's what you risk
Yeah,
because
100%.
because they're that passionate about football. They didn't care about football. It just, then it'll be a different story. But they this is a football town. Make no mistake about it.
Yeah, 100%, man. And I mean, I think at some point, I mean, I really think if this game don't work out, I think Jeffrey Lurie at some point has to step in.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So let us um leave your thoughts about what y'all think about this whole situation, the vandalism incident, the play calling that led up to people being angry enough to do this. And trust me, it wasn't me or nobody I know, but there's knuckleheads everywhere. And what you think about the team as a whole? Do you think that they're a Super Bowl caliber team and that this is like a limiter that they have that once they remove it, they'll be able to get back into contention? Let us know what you think about that. But until this next game, they have a lot to think about on this extended week, and we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Um, that being said, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.